Hey, this is Danielle. Welcome to Earnings in Focus Walmart Edition. So, Walmart is going to be reporting earnings this week. It's going to be on the 17th before market open. And, Walmart's had a pretty good run this quarter and this year overall. You can see over the course of the last quarter, we initially gapped higher after earnings before trading down to a critical support zone. And, after that point, it's been pretty much onwards and upwards. We had this really nice daily squeeze that consolidated. This was one of the setups that I was trading in July for an entry on Walmart up into the 1272 extension. And, at this point, it's pretty much made, most of my upside targets. So, what does this look like going into earnings and where does it go from here? Now, first of all, I'm going to start off by looking at the way that this company has reacted post earnings. Okay. And, we can really just focus on the last 8 quarters. But over the course of the last year, you've seen 3 gaps higher, 1 gap lower. And then the year prior, you had 3 gaps lower and one gap higher. So all in all, you're about half and half, coin flip. So next what I would do is I would look at the actual gap move, right? So we had 1.5, 2.4, 5.2, 4.8, 7.9, 0.4, 1.2, 0.2. These are the moves that we've seen with Walmart stock over the course of the last 8 quarters. So looking at this here today, we'll say, well, all right, what does that tell you? You're half the time it's up, half the time it's down. The biggest move was 5.2. Oh no, sorry. The biggest move was 7.9%. And the smallest move was 0.2%. Now, this quarter, we have a market maker expected move of $5.77. So, what does that look like? Well, we have a $5.77 expected move. Stock price is 160. That's going to give you about, 3.6% move that's being priced in. That means anything more than 3.6% is a little bit larger than expected move. Anything smaller than that is, a smaller than expected move. So looking at the pricing here and seeing, how many times we've moved higher than that, it's really just been 1, 2, 3 times. So what that tells me is that if I make a neutral trade on Walmart, especially when it's at a key psychological value, and I just attempt to sell the at the money premium, I would be right, the majority of the time. And essentially, I could sell the premium in the options market the day before earnings, buy it back the next day. This quarter, and this quarter, I might have gotten out. Well, this one, maybe break even, slight loss. This one would definitely have been a max loss. But the rest of the time, come in, sell those at the money calls and puts. And, not a bad deal, right? Now, if you look at just this recent price action and you say, okay, well, what are the chances it goes up versus down? Well, we have a pullback zone right into here, 156. If we did end up seeing a pullback into there, I think it would just be a great, support zone, buy zone along with the trend. If we trade up into 165, I think that would be pretty critical because that would be breaking through these prior areas of resistance. And if you look at this long-term chart, go down to, let's see, daily chart, weekly chart. Okay. So if you look at this longer term trend and this Fibonacci pattern that you have right here, you'll see that you have some key targets here, and you have some key targets here. Now, really that's telling me that, 170 is your next best longer term price target. And with a $5 expected move on earnings, even if it has a great earnings report, what's the likelihood of it going through 170 very soon? Probably not that great, just because, you've already had this huge move. You're a little bit overbought. The squeeze is already fired and lost momentum. So you're, on one hand, I have to look at this and I have to say, I like Walmart. I like the way that it's been trending. I like the way that the EPS Beats have been coming through. I like the way that people are still spending their money there despite high inflation, just buying more groceries and other cheap stuff instead of TVs. So, I mean, I like the stock and I like the pattern. Um, and, I like it up into this zone, but how much longer is it going to just keep going higher, right? We do have another target up here at about 187. But with the way this is losing momentum, just kind of strikes me as a time to be cautious. So, what is my call on this one? Well, here's the thing. I like the stock, all right? I like the stock. I like the way earnings is coming along. But when a stock has already made such a big move, um, you just need to be a little bit cautious, which is also why I like this one for a neutral trade right here now, because I think it makes the most sense to just say, hey, you know what? This thing has already had a pretty big move, and I don't know that it's super likely for it to keep moving at this juncture. So let's go ahead and just bet on Premium Crush. Now, I want to show you one more thing before I go ahead and get into the actual trade here. But I always like to go back and I like to look at what the company said the prior quarter whenever I'm looking at an earnings report. So this is from May 18th, 2023. And, last quarter, Walmart beat quarterly earnings and revenue expectations. They also raised the full year guidance. So this is something that will be critical to look for with Walmart. As I mentioned, the grocery business helped offset weaker sales of clothing and electronics. So, the full year forecast is pretty critical. Ideally, they don't mention anything about that going lower, because that is one, reason why the stock's been trading higher. Ideally, their grocery business can continue to remain strong. That's something that I'll be looking for as well. They noted last quarter that shoppers were still spending in spite of all of the inflation that we've been seeing. Now, I know that inflation's coming down, but, the cost of everything has gone up substantially the past couple of years, and it just continues to just bleed people dry, right? So, I do consider inflation to still be a pretty big concern. You can also note in the earnings report from last quarter that the sales reflected the shift towards groceries and essentials too. And unlike some competitors, the big box retailer is well suited for that change as the nation's largest grocer. Okay. 60% of its annual US sales come from groceries. That's pretty crazy, huh? 60%. So, people got to eat, even though things are expensive. So, I'm looking for a positive report out of Walmart, and I do own the stock. Going to continue to hold the stock. I don't really think that it makes a lot of sense to buy more stock right here, just because as I went over the charts and I demonstrated, even though Walmart has been strong, half the time they trade higher after earnings, half the time they trade lower. And then you have this problem. Stubborn inflation is one of the key factors creating uncertainty for us in the back half of the year. So, taking all of that into account, what I am going to do with this is I'm just going to come in and see if I can sell some at the money premium. Now, this is not going to be the correct pricing. It's not going to be the correct strikes, because I'm doing this after hours and because it's not being done the day before earnings. But just as an example, what I'm going to look at doing is I'm going to try to sell the high open interest strikes. Ideally, those strikes will be at the money just like they are right now, but I highly doubt this is going to set up so perfectly in 2 days. So essentially, I would sell the 160 calls and the 160 puts, and then I would buy the additional strikes as protection. This is because I never want to be selling naked options. Want to sell the 160 calls and then buy the 165s as protection. Sell the 160 puts, buy the 155s as protection. Now, in doing something like this and pricing it out for $5 wide, I would be getting a $3.71 credit for that. So just for one contract, you can see that my max loss is $129 and my max profit is $371. So, you have a pretty clear like 1 to 3 risk reward ratio on this, which is why I like to do these kind of trades, because you risk 1 to make 3. That's how you stay ahead. So I like the company. I like Walmart. I'll definitely be paying attention to the earnings report, but I'm just looking for a neutral trade on this report where I will sell a premium and buy it back the next day. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Let me know if you have any questions. Oh yeah, so I guess I should mention, what do I do if it goes wrong? So anytime you sell premium like that, it can go wrong if the stock moves too much. Okay, so let's say that there's this huge calamity. Walmart's down here at 152. Might be close to a max loss at the market open if that happened. Generally, when that happens, I try to buy it back immediately because that's how I can cut my loss the most. The most you're ever going to lose is going to be the width of the spread. So if you do it $5 wide, you can't ever be forced to close the trade for more than $5. So let me just set that up again. 160. Okay. So you see how it's $5 wide, 160 to 165, and then 160 to 155. So that's a $5 risk. Okay. And you're bringing in a $3.71 credit. So that's why your max loss is actually only $129. So that's the most you can lose, per contract, obviously. So if it is a, major gap lower in Walmart and it's max loss, I would lose $129 per contract. I would have to buy that spread back at $5. And I would do that before the market closes, because you don't want to leave in the money spreads to expire, or you will get assigned on the stock. That is where your risk would be higher. So with these strategies, I'm just trading options. I'm getting in, I'm getting out. I'm not trying to get assigned the stock. I don't want to get assigned the stock. It does happen sometimes, but that's why I use the defined risk strategy, so that I can exit my position with the same risk I used getting into the position. So I hope that all makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions below. Go ahead and write them underneath the video. You can also go to my Twitter account, and if you send me a message on Twitter, I will get back to you as soon as I can. So that's going to be right here at Danielle Shay, Trader Danielle. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey traders, thanks for watching this video. If you want to make sure that you get all of our free trading content, make sure you hit subscribe, and also give us a like and comment down below. If you want to learn more about us, and if you want to join us for live trading in real markets with real money, make sure you go to simplertrading.com, where you can join us for more info. Thank you very much and have a great day.